Hello! Today we're going to talk about tips I have for your UChicago application after having been through there myself and after having edited a lot of UChicago essays last year of people that got in. I have 10 tips that I think you need to remember when you're going through your entire application for UChicago because it's not really a conventional school and they want to really get to know you. So here are ways you can do that. And hey, for those of you who may not know me, I'm Priya. I talk about college, UChicago, more college things you really just need to know about life. So let's get straight into it. My first tip is that your Why Us essay needs to be thoroughly researched. Every Why Us essay has a similar template. You hit on academics, extracurriculars, things that the school offers that other schools don't offer, but you really need to get specific here. Intro CS or intro math or whatever intro classes you pick up from the course catalog are not going to do it. UChicago is a very, very unique school that gives you a lot of unique opportunities you wouldn't get anywhere else. There are venture challenges. They have Scav, which is one of the world's largest scavenger hunts. We have classes about the history of extraterrestrial life, which I took, and just really unique classes that you wouldn't find anywhere else. So it's totally all right to mention classes in your YS essay. Just get unique about it and get specific. There's even ways to get dual degrees. You can get your master's degree in 4 years. That's another really unique thing that not every school offers. So you want to do your research, look into the craziest things that you can do at UChicago. I actually have a video about things to do at UChicago that might give you some inspiration about really unique things that you can't find anywhere else. And of course, I'll have a whole video about the YS essay in case you need some inspiration or want to hear mine. This second tip is so important, not only for UChicago, but almost every essay you write. Don't accentuate your academics. Don't accentuate your accomplishments. Like, they know what your grades are. They have your entire transcript. They see your trends. They have your entire standardized testing history. They don't want to know about your grades or whether your grades were good or bad. Really, they want to know you as a person because yes, your grades are the threshold of you potentially being a very valid candidate, but everything after that is your essay. They want to know who you are. They want to know you deep down, that honest, raw truth. And that's something you really have to introspect for. So if you're just going to write an essay about accomplishments, your GPA, standardized test scores, or anything that's of that sort, it's just going to be boring. Don't do that. You're better than that. The third tip, in the same vein, don't expect to get in just because of your grades. And this holds true for UChicago and any other top school because your grades are just one thing of many things. Yes, there is a certain expectation. I think the average standardized test score for the ACT is like a 33 to 35. The average for the SAT is a 1500 to 1560. But those are just averages. And also if you fall into that, you know, so do the other 20, 30,000 other people who have also applied to UChicago. So you really want to make sure that you are you and you focus on making your profile your own and don't just expect to get in because of your grades. This next point is really, really important for your Common App essay, your UChicago essay, literally any essay you ever write. You do not need to write about some crazy story, nor do you need to have a crazy story for your essay. Honestly, the way I choose to go about writing essays is that the simplest moments are usually the most impactful moments. So think about what really makes you happy, what gives you that really warm feeling, a feeling of just bliss, you know, something that's really impactful in your life. It doesn't even have to be happy. I usually go the happy route, but really whatever makes you you, those simple moments. For example, something that really made me so happy and makes me so happy to this day is Metallica. That's one of my favorite bands. It gives me a feeling that I can't explain with any other things in life, honestly. It's just so impactful in my life. Another thing is the sport cricket. That's actually what I wrote my UChicago essay about, and it has affected me so much growing up and has changed the way I see different things in the world and how I connect with the world. It doesn't have to be a crazy story. It's more about how you write it and how you show them the importance of these simple moments in your life. Just a quick interjection to let you know that if you haven't subscribed already, you haven't hit the like button, you probably should. Thank you so much. The next point, this is very simple. Don't overthink your UChicago essay, and I mean this in a very literal sense. If there's a prompt that you've chosen and you feel like it's just so difficult for you to get this essay out, you can't write write it, it is not the right prompt for you, or you're not writing about the right thing. That's plain and simple. Let me tell you a story. Almost everyone I know at UChicago, my best friends, they wrote their UChicago essay the day before it was due. And a lot of my friends got in regular decision, just like myself. And I wrote my UChicago essay the night before it was due, January 5th. They literally extended the deadline from January 2nd to 6th, and I wrote the essay on the 5th. I'm not saying you should do this, but I'm saying that's the ease at which the essay just flowed out. Like, not gonna lie, it was probably one of my best essays, and it's because it was honest. It just rang true. So if this is something that's hard for you to write, pick another prompt or pick another topic for that prompt. Pivoting a little bit, I'd strongly recommend sending in test scores and not applying test optional. And I know they give you the option to apply test optional, but the reason they do that is because they really want to give a fair chance to those who are minorities, those who are low income, don't have the opportunities that everybody may have in terms of getting tutors or even being able to afford to take the SAT. That's really who it's targeted for, because UChicago actually became test optional way before the illness last year. So just given the reason they started the test optionality in school, I'd recommend trying to take the test if you're in a position of enough privilege where you can afford it, you have resources to take it and afford taking the test. I'd really recommend just taking it, because about only 20% of people who get admitted do get admitted test optional, and you don't want to take the risk. Like, when someone says something is optional for a college app, it really isn't optional if you have the ability to do it. Going back to essays, this is something that's really important. If you read your UChicago essay from a third person perspective, does it feel real? Does it sound like you would want to meet the person who wrote the essay, pick their brain over coffee? You want to be their best friend. You want to get to know them as a person, what gets them going, what their ambitions and goals are. If you read your essay and you want to get to know the person in the essay, then you know you're on the right track. I know it's very hard to detach yourself from your own writing, so of course you can always give this to one of your closest friends, your family members, someone you really trust, and ask them if they read this essay. Is it you? Is it someone they want to get to know? I think that's going to be a massive indicator of whether your essay's on the right track. Honestly, whether you're done, because you don't want to over edit your essay either. Next, you want to make sure your essay isn't aimless. And this is hard because UChicago has very unique and quirky prompts, but you don't want to have a mishmash of different things scattered around that doesn't converge to a specific point. You want to explore throughout your essay, but you need it to converge. So if each paragraph is a different part of your main point, make sure it converges in your conclusion. For example, I wrote my essay about cricket, and it was the "why are you here, not anywhere else" prompt. My introduction was essentially me being stuck in a stadium, looking around me, trying to escape. And I talk about it in different levels. I talk about it viscerally, being in the stadium, being at home, but feeling connected to everyone who's watching, even though I'm just in my living room. And the third, on a larger scale, because cricket means a lot in Indian culture. So I delve into that a little bit. Of course, you can check out my essay over here, but at the end, I converge. I essentially answer the question in my conclusion because I've explored it and I've answered the question by showing. My entire essay is a show essay, but at the end, I do tell because I want to really hit home that point. You just want your conclusion to have a thought and actually a stance of what your exploration is throughout the essay. So make sure it's not aimless and there is some sort of underlying structure there. Next one, if you do not have a connection to this year's prompts, of course you can check out my analysis of this year's prompt, but check out the other prompts from other years because you're actually allowed to write your UChicago essay with any prompt that they have ever put out there ever, which is a lot. So it is definitely daunting. So if you feel a connection with this year's prompt, please just choose one of them. You don't want to read every single prompt because it is a mess. It is a lot to think about because the prompts are so crazy. But you can check out last year's prompts, which I have an analysis for as well, and just look around and see if there is something that really speaks out to you. You're not really limited at all. And the last point, probably the most important point. Oh my god, my cat's here also. She's right here. Do you see her? Oh, she's not happy. But the last point, do not emulate any UChicago essays that you've heard already. Don't try to structure your essay or be someone else based on what you've seen on YouTube, what you've heard from people you may know who got into UChicago. And don't base what your application experience is going to be on other people's stats, their extracurriculars, or whatever. You can use everyone's work as inspiration or just guidance to even understand what's expected of you, but never emulate it because you want to be yourself. And when I say that, I really mean it. Like, I want to read all of your application essays, your profile. I want to see that. And I want to be like, okay, this is who you are. You're an empathetic, curious, caring person who wants to change the world. And aren't we all big babies that want to change the world? Like, you just want to be yourself. That's really it. Please don't get stressed out and try to be someone else, because that's when your application is so see-through. That's a bad application. And I've definitely seen essays like that. And you need to revamp that. You need to get into your comfort zone and write as your heart desires, as cheesy as that sounds. Well, that was it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. It would mean the channel. It would mean a lot for the channel. Smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm if you've enjoyed any of this content so far, and I will see you guys at my next video. Good luck with your application.